Hello runners, hope everybody is fine and doing great. I am Dr. Shrikant Dwivedi from School of Education, Galway University. Today in this lecture, we are going to take up topic that is a pedagogical analysis. Under the course, Pedagogical Basis of Social Science, and course code is BEDU1072. The topic in which we will be covering today in this lecture will be like understand the concept of pedagogical analysis and characteristics of pedagogical analysis. Then we will try to discuss its components of pedagogical analysis, and next subtopic we will try to discuss steps of pedagogical analysis. There are certain steps we will try to discuss steps of pedagogical analysis, and in the end of the topic, last subtopic, we will try to discuss needs of pedagogical analysis. There are some needs and utility and importance of pedagogical analysis. We will try to discuss its needs, importance and significance of pedagogical analysis. This word pedagogy, what is the meaning of pedagogy? Pedagogy means science of teaching, the way and means provided to utilize by a teacher for meaningful his task of teaching as smoothly and effectively possible, involving his least efforts for drawing the maximum possible better teaching outcome. However, when teachers take an individual approach to teaching and actually like time to examine the nature of teaching, learning, instruction, they get a glimpse of its complexity. Effective activity prior to teaching should not only improve the teaching itself but also facilitate appraisal after teaching. It is possible for teachers to ensure effective prior activity of the type through the procedure of pedagogical analysis. These procedures start from the premise of teachings being a highly complex skill demanding a high level problem solving ability by teachers. So, meaning of pedagogy, science of teaching. Then another word is analysis. Pedagogy analysis having two words. First is pedagogy and second analysis. Analysis. What is the concept of analysis? Generally, literally meaning, as we know, analysis is a process of separating things into its smaller parts, elements or constitutes. And then break down the content and scale down the content into its simpler parts, into elements or constituents. We can break the content of the course in a subject into its various constituents, major and minor section, subsections, sub-elements, units, subunits, major concept, minor concepts, topic, etc. by carrying out a process of content analysis. When analyzing is carried out more methodologically and scientifically in the spirit of the science of teaching, then it is termed pedagogical analysis. Pedagogical analysis involves making a systematic examination of a teaching task so as to reveal its essential elements. The outcome of this analysis is a plan for the teaching of the lesson or lessons. It is very important to note that the plan resulting from pedagogical analysis is not a conventional lesson plan. Lesson plan typically remembers script or direction, detailing lines to be delivered or steps to be taken. Pedagogical analysis produces guides to action in a specific piece of teaching that will take into account such things as a conceptual structure or what is to be taught, what is to know about human learning that might enhance the learning and teaching learning. Pedagogical analysis. As you know, these terms having two terms. First is pedagogy, second is analysis. Pedagogy means science of teaching. Analysis is scale down the content into its simpler part. Dividing the content, analyze the content into its constituents. Breaking down a complex into smaller parts. Means systematic and effective teaching learning process. Teaching learning process. For the making our teaching effectively, we have to plan out, we have to go through pedagogical analysis. We have to analyze our content and use it effectively. Arrange the content according to psychological and logical order. And characteristics of pedagogical analysis. What are the characteristics? What are the importance? What are the significance of pedagogical analysis? Considers teaching as an art as well as science. As we know, teaching is an art as well as science also. Uses artistic sense as well as effective observation also. It involves emotions, feelings and actions. In teaching, we have to involve our emotions and students' emotions also. Feelings and actions also. Teaching include attitude and values and beliefs also. Analyze teaching into its components. What are the components? Teachers, taught, content and objectives. There are 4 components. Relates to cognitive, affective and psychomotor domains. We have 3 domains: cognitive domain, affective domain and psychomotor domain also. On the basis of these domain, we have to choose levels of teaching also, as the involvement, commitment and accountability also. And it includes different methods, techniques and maxims of teaching. We have to use for clarification of content, for making easy content. Teacher uses different methods, techniques and maximum teachings, and implies verbal, non-verbal language or interaction also, based on logical and empirical approach. In the teaching also depends based on philosophical and scientific principle, and assumes that teachers are born, can be made through training. We have to train our teachers. Include qualitative, how good, as well as quantitative, how much measurement we can measure. Quantitative and qualitative in both manner. And usage, professional ethics and norms of teachings. And there are certain steps, components of pedagogical analysis. We have 4 steps, 4 components in pedagogical analysis. First is unit analysis or content analysis. In the very first, we have to analyze our content. We can say content analysis. And second step is instructional objective. We have to identify instructional objective and write down into its in behavioral terms. Then on the basis of instructional objective, we have to create our teaching learning experiences. Third step is teaching method and techniques. We have to use different methods, techniques and strategy in the third term. We have to identify according on the basis of content and on the basis of objectives. Then last step is evaluation device. In this device evaluation, we have to assess our students, we have to analyze, we have to assess, we have to measure our teaching learning process. Evaluation device is very, very important. On the basis of set objectives, we have to assess of effectiveness of our teaching learning process. Let's try to discuss in detail. First is Unitarian analysis and content analysis. In content analysis include analysis of topic or single concept being taught by the teacher in the class. Unit here means subject matter of any subject. Content matter of any subject, of any course. Analysis means breaking down complex unit into its smaller subunits, subtopics, etc. It constitutes scale down the content into its simpler form. It is a very essential component in pedagogical analysis, because in doing so a teacher should have a good knowledge of the maxims of teaching and throughout knowledge of content. We have to analyze, we have to break down the content into its simpler part. And then second step is instructional objective. In this step, a teaching process should be effective based upon its instructional objective. As we know, a teacher should consider some points in mind, take care of some point in mind. A teacher should have through knowledge of the different approach of behavioral objectives. For example, Bloom taxonomy, RCA approach and other method schools of writing objectives in behavioral terms. Next, teacher's approach of formulating instructional objective into behavioral term should be learner-centered, child-centered. Teacher should have a good knowledge of the content. That's why he can put the subject matter in progressive sequence and should know the domain or level of teaching learning. The teacher enlists the objectives. Teaching objective determine learning outcomes. The knowledge of level of teaching helps in making teaching objective in behavioral terms. Objectives: scholastic and non-scholastic objective. Knowledge, understanding, application, scholastic objective. Non-scholastic: personality development, physical development and social development, etc. And third step is teaching methods and techniques. In this, the student come into the contact of teacher and subject matter. In this step, teacher give knowledge about the content or concept by selecting the method, technique or method which are best of teaching that topic. Teachers should select appropriate teaching method. A teacher performs some activities in this step. For example, use of various skills in his teaching or in her teaching. Selection and use of best teaching method techniques for teaching. Use of various teaching aids, activities and equipment also. This is the most important part of pedagogical analysis. Considering the nature of learning involved in relation to the analyzing the conceptual content, it's integral with the planning of type of examples to represent the learner. Conceptual learning will be different and difficult, and in some cases impossible if the teacher talk is learner centered. We have to use different method. For example, experience in learning and student centered method, etc. And fourth step is evaluation device. In this step, teacher should select appropriate evaluation device in the form of oral, written and practical activities and test, question, etc. for evaluating the outcome of the teaching learning process. Teaching learning process carried out in relation to the teaching of the topic in hand. In this step, teacher should select or plan appropriate evaluatory device. This is a very, very important step. On the basis of objectives, teacher should plan appropriate evaluatory device, evaluation method. Teacher should check outcome of the class by assessing his or her student. Steps of pedagogical analysis. As we discussed components, in same sequence there are certain steps of pedagogical analysis. Same sequence. Divide the content of the selected unit into suitable subunits and arrange the selected subunit into a number of required periods. Arrange the content into psychological logical order. Briefly write the essence of the content of the selected subunits. Write appropriate previous knowledge required for the subunit. And write appropriate instructional objective to be selected for the subunit. Then select the appropriate teaching strategy for the subunit according to some certain rules, some instruction. We should follow, teacher should follow some instruction. For example, write the name of the method applied, mention the teaching aid required, and briefly illustrate the necessary demonstration and experimentation required. Mention the necessary board work required. Teacher should plan in advance. Write a probing question related to the subunits and provide appropriate answer for them. Prepare a worksheet for the subunit. Give suitable example illustration for subunits. Prepare a table of a specification for the subunits. Write a list, some criteria reference test item each with the specific criteria of subunits. What is the need and importance of pedagogical analysis? Pedagogical analysis is selection of appropriate objectives and strategies in various instructional situations to access the level of actual teaching at the end. A comprehensive version of required task strategy for the realizing specific goals facilitates effective teaching. So pedagogical analysis offers enormous potential for improving the delivery of information in all forms of education. It involves various logical steps to evaluate a logical and influence It also helps the student to understand the concept, principles and phenomena. Today we have discussed about concept of pedagogical analysis. We have discussed characteristics of pedagogical analysis and components of pedagogical analysis and steps of pedagogical analysis and need of pedagogical analysis. Here are some questions for your practice sake. For example, examine the meaning of pedagogical analysis keeping this existence. Examine the different components of pedagogical analysis. Explain the importance of Unitarian analysis in pedagogical analysis. Discuss the steps of pedagogical analysis. Discuss the needs and importance of pedagogical analysis. And here are some references. Here are some references books you can go through for further classification. Thank you. Thanks for listening.